Okay. Um, so does everyone know where we are today in the Heart Sutra text? If you go to the website, kadampa-center.org, and click on tonight's class, that'll take you to the page about tonight's class. And if this isn't making sense, you know what? I can just put the link in the website. I mean, in the chat, sorry. Hang on one second. I'll do that. Okay. The link is now in the chat. And then we're on, if you're looking at the PDF pages, we're on page 18 out of 20 pages. And we're at the part that's about, I don't know, a quarter of the way down that starts with qualm, Qualm, qualm. Okay. So welcome everyone. There's hardly anybody here in the Gampa tonight. That's strange. Lots of folks online though. So welcome. If you have just joined, I did put the link to the Heart Sutra text in the chat. So you can find it there and then go to page 18 of the PDF. And Geshe is just arriving. He's likely going to circumambulate because it is pretty nice out now that it's cooled off somewhat.
Good evening. Likewise, Julie suggests we are going to say Heart Sutra. Okay. Yeah, after regular prayer. Yeah.
In the Gold Prayer Book, please turn to the red tab, page 35, and we'll begin with the 7-limb prayer. Gosungu pekane chakshalo Ngao shami trulchatrin malubu Tokmene sak diktung tam cheshak Ki korlo korwadang Nam Now the green tab, pages 97 and 98 for the sharp mandala offering. Saji to Nam da Parsho Jetsun Lama Tampa Genam Tri So Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Tayami. Now on page 98, Geshe will lead us in Refuge and Bodhicitta. So in the Gold Prayer Book, page 76. Just we are on
Good. Oh, yeah.
page 76 of the Gold Prayer Book.
There's the power of the Heart Sutras
That's right.
echoing through the Kadamba Center to the rest of the world.
That's a wonderful thought. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear of one time. Bhagwan was dwelling on Massa Vulture's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagwan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokitesvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokitesvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokitesvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell on the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared: Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagwan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokitesvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagwan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokitesvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with a world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagwan. Prayer to the lion-faced Dakini. I prostrate to the gathering of Dakinis in the three chakras who abide in the holy yoga of using space. By your powers of clairvoyance and magical emanation, look after practitioners like a mother her child. Aka Samaratsa Shadara Samaraya Pe. 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 Akasamaratsa 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 Shadara Samaraya Pe. Tayata Om Gate Kate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisoha. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, may inner and outer hindrances be transformed. May they be dispelled. May they be pacified. Shintum Kuruye Soha. May all negative forces opposed to Dharma be completely pacified. May the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified. May we be separated from problems and harmful conditions to Dharma. May all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma, and may there be auspiciousness and perfect happiness here right now. Now, refuge and bodhicitta, Geshe. Okay, that's on page 98 in the Gold Prayer Book. Churang Soki Chok Nam Ha, Jang Chu Badu Dagni Chap Su Chi, Dagi Chin Yin Ji Pe Sonam Ji, Drala Pin Shir Sanjay Dru Par Shog. Churang Soki Chok Nam La, Jang Chu Badu Dagni Kap Su Chi, Dagi Chin Yin Ji Pe Sonam Ji, Drala Pin Shir Sanjay Dru Par Shog. Chudang Soki Chognam La, Jangchu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi, Dagi Chinyen Ji Pe Sunam Ji, Dolap Inshir Sanjay Dru Par Sho.
산재 손으로 데이터라지 담배 전지 짓는 대시 남말라 이렇게다 본다데 노하고냐는 남자게 논다게 최대 또 관계 도전이었어 또 고담때라 차세 뭐 yeah, new friend or my friend on Zoom. Good evening. Elephant symbolize silent meditation, not the can talk. Not sitting very well, so maybe like this, and better with the B. Sitting with the B. How's the, oh, yeah.
Geshe,
Yes.
the whiteboard tonight?
Yes, we did, yeah. One more attempt. So, again, Catherine, we spend time together, so one more attempt. So see how it goes. Then first, no, we meditate a little bit on emptiness tonight. And, I first wait for the boat. Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Very good. Very good, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. So we will meditate on emptiness, okay? Not on nothingness, but something very profound. I'm going to use part of Master Shantideva's text, Guide to Buddhist Way of Life, chapter number 9, some of the stanza from there. Then some of the stanzas, some of the passage from sutras, and there's two of them. Then one passage from Penchen of the I think the fourth Penchen Lama. One of the texts, fourth Penchen Lama. I don't remember the number of the volumes. There are many teachings. I'm not sure which, like book number 1, 2, 3. I don't remember, but it's somewhere there. According to the sutras, what's called sutra King of Samadhi. Samadhi is like concentrations. In English, concentration. Tibetans call Tengjin. Concentration, basically focus. Okay, placing attentions on one single object. That's called Tengjin or concentrations. And every thought comes with that, because every primary thought, that's called like 5 omnipresent mental factor. Kundonga, kundo, omnipresent, omnipresent mental factor, 5 of them. Memory, concentrations, is all there, but unfortunately, most of the time it does not function very well, because we don't have one thought, we have many thoughts together. Therefore, it's hard to activate every single concentration that comes to the thought. It's hard to activate. If there comes 5 of them, one is hard to activate. 5 of them is more difficult. So therefore, if we have one thought corresponding with one single object, then it's easy to activate the concentration, much easier. So that's why our concentration is not that powerful, because we have not just one primary thought, we have many thoughts. So even though thought comes with the 5 omnipresent mental factors, but they are not strong. It's kind of way. So that's called Tengjin. One of the, for the sake of knowledge, one of the 5 5 omnipresent mental factors, what is called Kundonga. Okay, Kundonga. So in Sanskrit, that's called Samadhi, Tengjin. So then the sutra that I'm going to quoting sutra is called Tengjin Jabido, means King of Sutra of King of Samadhi. Jumachaba Thagi Sutru des. That's the first line, what it says, like magicians create illusions. That's what the first line. Jumachaba Thagi Sutru, the magicians, illusionists create illusions. What types of illusions? They create elephant, horses. They create too much about that. Whatever you are seeing is not really there. It's just it's called illusions. It's not real. Illusion is not real. Too much about Thagya Sutru, Whatever you see is not there. Likewise, everything that we should understand, everything like that. Whether it's fear, anxiety, stress, like, dislike, everything, include all your perceptions. So that's what the first stranger said, that we all should understand everything like illusion is created by illusionist. Similarly, it's created by our mind. Our mind is like an illusionist and create illusions. Then we see, even though it's not there, so not just that, then start believing, then create more complications, more complications. Okay, just pause maybe a few seconds, just think how I am going to understand everything I experiencing now, going to experience the future, how I'm going to see like them as like not something very absolute, concrete, like solid, should see them as like illusions that created by illusionists. Yeah, you do see when they create elephants, you do see, is the elephant? There is no elephant. You just, so then what's the difference between illusionist and you? You both see elephant and horse. What's the difference? Illusionists don't believe what he or she sees. They know they created. But you not just see, you believe. That's the big differences. So then believe, so then kind of like thinking all that happened after when you start to believe. So similarly, what Buddha is hoping that you will understand everything, all your life experience, whatever that might happen, happening now, going to happen in the future, all of that. There is a way that you could see all of them as like illusions. Nothing really concrete. So just pause maybe. If you said maybe 30 seconds, just think, just think. Okay, so maybe there's a number of steps I want to go through. So then you get some idea how to meet Shunyata, okay, based on this sort of King of Samadhi composed by Shakyamuni Buddha. Nawa. So let's say Nawa is like experience. That is the reflection of the mind. Nawa Semjira, yes. So there's another second step. I'm just using this, so Nawa Semjira. Experience is the reflection of the mind. Nature of their mind is empty. There's nothing there. It's empty. Therefore, should not treat them so seriously. Experience should not be treated so seriously. These are the reflection of the mind, that the very mind is empty. Now, so something good to remember. So now, second stanza. Chizra permission, permission, young girl, in the dream of the young girl. The dream of a young girl. the girl dreaming having a child, giving a birth, having a child, so happy to know they're having babies. Then second, then seeing the child is die, then pain or sufferings. Chida permission, junior gushings, tremendous joy knowing that you have a child, tremendous sorrow and pain losing their child. This all happened in the dream. When you awake, realize, even though it seems very vivid or very real, but it's all in dream. So when you wake up, then you realize it's not really happens. Likewise, everything should be understood like that. Joy, sorrow, the pain, all of that. This is just example. Could be anything. Joy of getting something, pain of losing something, joy and pain. Basically, joy and the pain could be anything. This is just example. The joy of giving birth, having a child, young woman, and pain of losing the child. But that is all happened in the dream. And that Buddha said, requested that all of you should, all of us to understand everything like that. Maybe 30 seconds, just think. Joy and pain is like that, like a dream. Second stanza. Third. Chita Simuchi Dawatas. A reflection of the moon in the lake, Killer Lake at night. A reflection of the moon in the clear lake at night. You see the reflection. Chita Simuchi and Tangshinyawa Mechunanas. So reflection of the moon that you only see in the clear lake, you don't see in the muddy lake. Clear lake, then you see the reflection of the moon. Chita Simuchi and Dawada Tangshinyawa Chita Tongba Sosun Chumdejo. But it's reflections. It's not the moon, it's the reflection of the moon. So, I think likewise, everything should be understood like that. It's kind of reflections of the mind, which in this case is clear lake. It's the mind. The moon experience, joy or pain kind of reflects in that lake. But whatever reflection there, that's not really real. And I think what it means like we make it much bigger, we exaggerate it. So that's probably not good. Middle way, emptiness means middle way. Likewise, everything should be understood like that, or it doesn't have to be clear lake. It could be mirror. You're looking at the mirror, then you see your reflections. It's not you. Even though it looks like you, it's your reflection. It's not you. Whatever we experience past, present, future. Seems very vivid or very real, absolute, but it's not. So that's what. There's another way to meditate on shunyata. Okay. So then I'll finish the sutra. So then I'll probably save Shantideva's text next Wednesday. But we have important things to discuss here. So then two more, I think there are three more stanzas. Chida soke nima chudina summer sun. When the summer suns hit to the sand, it creates mirage. Chida soke nima chihukumbi doshindoes. There's a person who's very thirsty, very, very thirsty, experiencing thirst. Looking from the distance, not close, from the distance, in the desert, seeing the water. But that's not what is mirage. The person see mirage as a water. So then probably go there. So then there is no water. So similarly, everything should be understood like that. Everything meaning all our experience should be understood like that. Or someone who's experiencing thirst, looking at the summer desert and seeing mirage and believing there's water, so then go there. Then there's no water. There's one way of meditating on shunyata according to King of Samadhi, Sutra of King of Samadhi. Chida soke nyama chuduna chewa kumsi miruja. Mijulani does number of the next stanza. Mijulani chuyim in this. And there is no water in the mirage. There's no water. That's called mirage. But the thirsty person wants to drink. There's no water. Even though there's no water, the thirsty person wants to drink. So that water cannot be drink. That water cannot be drink. It's not real. Similar, everything should be understood like that. Does this make any sense? Yeah, everything should be understood like that. Okay, so then there's last stanza. I think it's a banana tree. I think Chuxing is a banana trees. Usually other trees are solid. A banana tree, when you peel up, there's no real tree. It's just one you peel up by layer, so there's no tree. So there's no essence inside. If you think, or maybe if you take layer after layer, maybe there's something essence inside, but there's nothing. But you want some essence from the tree. The way you look at, you peel the tree layer by layer, hoping there's something inside. When you reach inside, there's nothing. There's no essence outside, therefore you peel layer up, you take out layer by layer, hoping there's something inside, there's nothing. Similarly, that everything should be understood like that. That's more like meditating on emptiness using external object as an example to help you to understand what is shunyata. So Shantideva's message or the instructions is towards your body, your life. Shantideva in Guide to Buddhist Web, like chapter number 10, that meditation is begin with your body and mind and trying to understand emptiness. Okay, so that's say for next Wednesday. So these are the there's two extreme view. One is super exaggerated, one is like nihilism. Middle way in Tibet, Uma means middle way, free from those two extreme view. One is too super exaggerated, one is there's almost nothing, nihilism. So middle way means free from those two extreme view, become middle way, no different than shunyata, same thing, Uma. So it's very like kind of tricky that whole thing. Either it's like way over here, everything exaggerated, or way over here, nothing seems, nothing. It's like, and free from that called Uma. Uma, okay, to extreme views. So therefore, like, so then why it's so powerful? Because it's kind of like tackle the root of all the sufferings, the root. Basically, we really fundamental, like that we are having hard time understanding the nature of, true nature of self, and having hard time differentiate between self that kind of exists, but self that's been super exaggerated and all confused. Basically, all this complication that we have in our life is driven by, powered by confusions, fundamental confusion, ignorance. So that's therefore heart is quite important. Okay. So now go back to headache. Or maybe today probably not more headache. So we'll see. Yeah, Catherine, please now explain. So what we discussed. Yeah, you try now one more time. Catherine will try one more time. And last Wednesday. Mm, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me draw this first and then, yeah. I'm, we're using a different diagram, basically like last week, but I kind of messed up last week. But this one's better. I hope.
No, it's okay. Thank you. No, so why we are doing this, because I'm very much hoping that you understand this, like reasoning, what's called like, yeah, reasoning. It's a logic, so compassion, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, easy to understand, but it's so difficult to cultivate. Emptiness is very difficult to understand. Therefore, you need many logic to help yourself to understand shunyata. But relatively, once you understand the shunyata, relatively, it's easy to understand, or maybe actualize the realization compared to bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion. It's very hard. Okay, that's okay. So I have faith. So you are doing. So I hope you are doing right things. Yeah, yeah. We call this like, this is more like, looks more like PowerPoint presentation of, PowerPoint presentation of, what do you call PowerPoint presentations. So they show when I was in Boston with other Geshes, I was acting as an interpreter for two older Geshes who don't speak English very much, so then they asked me to interpret it. So they show PowerPoint. We all get confused. I don't know where to look. There's so many happening. But it's going to be like this too. This is a little bit, there's not that much. This is called Choji Kolo. It's kind of like the wheel of logic. That's what it's called, wheel of logic. But here we are doing only one. So actually there's like many of them. But here just you are doing one. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so here we start over here, circle 1. We have a sprout, like a plant sprout. Circle 2 says does not exist. 3 says because it is dependent. And then 4, we have a vase, which is an example. So circle 4 is the example. Circle 1's the subject. 2 is what we would call the predicate. I guess that's like the statement you're making about the subject. Is that right? And then 3 is the reason. So, and then, so 2, 3, and 4 all are related to each other, like they all connect. Like the vase, the example we're using, does not exist. And then the reason that the vase doesn't exist also is because it is dependent. Right.
Understand? Huh? Very good. So that can we talk about like example and then
So, right. So the vase is an example. So it has these same 2 properties as the sprout. Should I talk about the counter example? Okay, then there's also a counter example, which we're just going to put in another circle here. But we're not drawing lines because the counter example, I'll call this circle 5, just so we have counter. The counter example does not meet the criteria for 2 or 3. Or Geshe, can it meet 1, but maybe not both? Is that possible?
It's like does not have relation between number 2 and 3. Counter example.
Okay. So,
Or you could say 3. You could say mainly 2. Number 2 and number 3.
okay. So a counter example,
Probably need to change the subject there, like probably use sound.
to build a sound, right?
Yeah.
So the sprout vase is one, does not exist because it's dependent. That's one scenario. We can make another scenario where we would, instead of sprout for subject, we have sound. And then in circle 2, we say is not permanent. And the reason being because it is always changing. And then for an example, we could say a cloud. So sound is not permanent because it's always changing. And we can have an example, cloud, also, cloud is not permanent because it's always changing. It's moving around, getting bigger, smaller, changing color, like that. So then a counterexample in this case would be space. So if we try to say space is not permanent because it's always changing, that's not correct because space is permanent
Yeah, space permanent.
and it doesn't change.
Yeah, if anything that about changing, momentary change is the definition of impermanent. Momentary change. The space, I think, don't change. So therefore, there's the phenomena impermanent, permanent. So then that what Katniss says like counter example. That's like in this case permanent. Permanent. Do you understand?
So the counterexample does not meet the criteria of two or three. Like that relationship doesn't exist for the counterexample.
Or just forget it. Or just, or like that's not that important. The counter example is not that important. I just thought you are interested. Last Wednesday you become so interested, so maybe make it complete. But it's not that. So, but next, in the future, if you thinking to join in the monastery debate courtyard, so then I think it's good to have that knowledge. So, you understand this like sound? You understand? Can you please repeat again, please, one more time?
So we could say sound is not permanent because it is always changing.
Or you could say, Catherine, like sound is impermanent. Oh, that's better to say sound is impermanent because it changes moment by moment. So in Tibetan, we call da sound. Che midaba inte cheba kijing imbes. That's how it sounds. Sound is impermanent because change moment by moment. Didn't it? Example?
And then an example would be a cloud,
Yeah, exactly.
because cloud also is impermanent and cloud is always changing.
You understand?
Yeah, because it's not connected with lines because it actually doesn't make sense. There isn't that relationship there.
You could call like cycle
Not a valid
5.
relationship. Well, I don't understand your question.
Where? You mean counter example?
It has to be one of the, something that is permanent, which would.
Yeah, something that you need to put there, something that's permanent.
Generic image or space or something.
Yeah, generic image, I'm not sure. That's permanent, impermanent, I don't know.
It's one of the four.
Yeah, right. How is the generic image means like mental image.
There's four. I can't remember the fourth one, but you can only use those four.
Yeah, that's like more sounds the meaning generality more sounds like mental image, right? Mental image. Yeah, memory. Memory is not gonna,
Memories.
it's gonna get tricky. So we call in Buddhist terminology, we call tenchi. Ten is this elephant. There's the real. There's the real means in this case, you see this elephant, right? There's the meaning. Meaning generalities means like now Note this elephant, when you go home, thinking of class, all of a sudden you remember this on the table that I've been playing with. So that is meaning general reality. That's what you call Tenji. Similar to the object, but it's not that object, but you are kind of like, when we see things, second moment it turns into tendency, therefore you are able to recall.
But it's an image, right?
This image. So is that like permanent or impermanent? I don't know. Permanent? Yeah. So then what, yeah, so that again.
So is both sound and space, are they both counterexamples? I thought sound actually worked. Sound is okay.
Yeah,
but-
sound is the second scenario we have for circle one.
So, okay, so space is the one that's the counterexample.
Exactly right, in this case, yeah. So for you are saying like, the cloud, the example is cloud here, right? Example, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sound. You kind of know, oh, cloud, I see it change, it kind of moves, get bigger, it gets small. You don't need explanation. You kind of know clouds changing. And you kind of know changing is the meaning of impermanent. You kind of know that. You are kind of aware or changing means impermanent. And you look at the cloud is changing. But when you think about sound, you can't really see it. It's harder. It's harder. You can't see the change. Then you are just wondering. Then Catherine said, sound is, you are wondering whether sound is impermanent or not impermanent because you are not very clear. Does sound really change? Cloud is very clear. Cloud you see is changing all the time. And you kind of know changing is the meaning of impermanent. Nobody needs to introduce you to that. You have knowledge. But when you think of sound, can't see it, and you're just wondering, does sound is permanent or impermanent? I can't really see it's changing or not. I can't really explain the change there. So then Catherine comes in, then Catherine says, okay, sound is impermanent. It changes momentarily. Likewise, cloud. So probably then need more like emphasis on the changing, Then how, yeah, you probably going to ask how, like you say sound is changing, how it changed. Then now, what do you talk? You talk about there's like 60 seconds of sound or audio sound. It's not same pitch. Some is like louder, some is like high pitch, low pitch. And it's like, it's not same. Even though I say yes, but fast, higher, when you look at very close, then there's like change. And there's it's kind of breaks, also sound kind of breaks. There's a break, huh? There is break, right? Sound. Yeah, it's like there's a wave up and down.
Julie has a question, raised her hand.
Yeah, very good. So Julie and Catherine work as a SPC for the Kadamba Center when I first came, they are like SPC long, how many years?
Was it 98?
Yes,
Okay.
it's like almost like, yeah, long, many years. Julie and Catherine work together as SPC here, center. Yeah, what question, Julie?
Thank you, Geshe. So, hi, Catherine. So, it seems to me you could say also that the sprout is not permanent because it is always changing, as easily as you could say that sound, when you say does not exist, I assume we mean really does not exist inherently, does not exist from its own side.
Yeah.
we're not saying something nihilistic. We're saying sound does not exist from its own side, or sound does not exist inherently because it is always changing, or because it's dependent. I mean, these
Yeah,
are all qualities of phenomena that they have in common, right? Sound and the sprout have all these things in common.
yeah.
Am I,
Like,
am I misunderstanding?
No, not Mr. Julie. Like when you say sprout does not. There's a first circle. There's first circle,
Right,
first circle.
right. Does not exist.
Yeah, does not exist. The second circle does not exist. Does not as a uh, does
Not
not inherently exist.
Right,
So then the reason it is better to saying change moment by moment is better to say it is interdependent. It's better to say interdependent. When you say sprout, first circle, second circle does not exist independently. So the reason, better choice, because then you are, now this logic is more geared towards shunyata.
right.
So then the reason, the third circle is better to put there interdependent,
Right.
rather than changing moment by moment.
Okay, so I understand that, but it seems to me you could, in the circle number one, you can have either sprout or sound, and
Yeah,
both of those
yeah,
things apply equally to does not exist inherently.
that's
Sound
true.
does not exist inherently because it is a dependent arising.
That's true.
And sprout is, I can't read what you've written there. Sprout is impermanent because it is always changing. So both sprout and sound have both of those qualities, right? They are not inherently existent because they're interdependent, and also they are impermanent because they're always changing moment to
Yes,
moment.
that's true. Yeah, that's good. That's true.
And so there are very few counterexamples. Space is one. Emptiness is also one, right?
Yeah.
So there are only a couple of counterexamples. Basically, everything is in circle one. Almost everything.
That depend on the logic itself. If you're using this logic, sound is impermanent. Sound circle number one, impermanent circle number two, circle number three, momentary change. Momentary change. In that case, now the counterexample, all the permanent phenomena you can use as a counterexample,
Right.
right? Yeah, there's yeah, not many, but that's true. So there's that. So then when you say sprout, circle number one, okay? Circle number two does not exist inherently. Circle number three, interdependent. Now, but there is no counter example. There's none. Basically, there's none. Is there a counter example?
For interdependent, for inherently.
For sprout does not
Is there
exist.
something, the
Does not
question
exist
is there,
inherently.
sorry.
Is interdependent. For example, like cloud. Now the counter example. Is there a counter example for that?
For interdependent,
No, because nothing exists inherently.
emptiness.
No.
The elephant said no.
So neither space, so both space and emptiness.
So now, Catherine, you explain what is the definition of counterexample? What's the definition?
Well, so I was thinking, one thing I didn't go over. So I'm using put the word example here for base in circle four. In the Tibetan word, it's kind of more like similar, something that's similar.
Yeah, Tunjo, yeah.
And then counterexample is the negative of that. So mitumpe, so the mi negates. It's a negative, so it's a not similar, basically, if that helps.
Similar to circle 2 and circle 3. Not similar to what? So similar, not similar to circle
One.
2 and
Not circle, not similar to circle one.
no similar to circle 2 and 3.
Oh, we're talking about the
Yeah.
counterexample. Okay, right.
When she says similar, is similar to circle 2 and 3.
Which is why we have the lines here from 4 goes to 2 and to 3, because that relationship between the example, the similar object, goes to both of those.
Counter example means no similar. No similar. So therefore, there's no line connected to third and second and third. Yeah, or anything. Yeah. Yeah, any of those circles. Make sense?
Geshe, I think my fundamental question is sprout and sound
Uh-huh.
are the same in that, have the same qualities of not being permanent nor
Yeah.
existing inherently.
Yes. same quality.
Because both of them, sprout and sound, are both interdependent arisings and constant changing moment to moment.
Mhm. Very good. Yeah, that's true.
So almost anything, I mean, if it's a karmic arising, it could be in number 1 with the way it's been set up now.
Yeah, you can put anything on the circle number 1, but right now we are just using sound and sprout.
I
But you
know.
can- huh?
It just seems like that's all those things are true for almost everything. You don't need a separate example. You could take any one example and say it's inherent, it does not exist inherently, and it is impermanent because it is an interdependent arising and it is changing moment to moment. So you don't have to change the example from sprout to cloud.
Okay.
Just a
All
question,
right.
actually. It's
No,
actually, it is actually.
Judy, doesn't sound like a question. So,
No, it's a debate. Okay, it's a debate.
yeah, Linda, one more time. I think like Julie, yeah, that's why I say it's question or explanation.
Um, let's see. It's a debate question. It's a debate question.
Yeah, then if question, then ask again, please.
It seems to me that when you forget the counterexample, when you look at 1 and 2 and 3,
Oh,
you started with sprout in
yes,
1,
yes,
and then you had does not exist inherently in 2, and because it's a dependent arising in 3.
yes.
And then to changed the example to cloud or sound, sorry, to sound in order to say number 2 is impermanent and number 3 is changing moment to moment. And
There's
my
two different logic.
two different logics, but two different sets of logics in 2 and 3, but they apply equally to almost anything that you put in 1. You didn't have to change the sprout to cloud. Is that correct? So sprout is also impermanent because it's always changing. Just as much as a sound or a cloud or the vase.
Because we are okay, so I understood your question now. Reason we are changing that because we want to explain the counter example.
And the example.
Counter example, and then example and counter example. If you just put sound there, first circle, second circle, impermanent, third circle, momentary change, there is then counter example. Okay. If you put sprout does not inherently exist because it's dependent, there is no counter example. There's no counter example.
So Geshe, that's my question. Why is there no counterexample?
Please show me one. It-
Space. How come that doesn't work for sprout, but it works for sound?
Space is it's not it's example. It's not counterexample. It
Yeah,
is
because can you say space does not exist inherently? No, you cannot. So therefore, it's a
yeah.
counter.
Space is Linda. Space fall into example. It's not counterexample. There is no counterexample. Well, please show me. Huh?
That part of consciousness that karma attaches to, that moves from life to life, that existed from beginningless time.
Yes.
That's your example, counterexample.
That's not that is that okay, very good, more subtle, but the subtle consciousness that goes life to life to life, okay, life after life. That consciousness does not exist inherently.
Does it?
Where does it come from? That's true. It exists in beginningless time. That's true. It exists beginningless time. That's good. So that's good. So when you please Mike Holt, yeah. So when you say in the philosophical term, in the philosophical debate, when you say something is inherently exist, indirectly what you are saying, indirectly, not directly, indirectly what you're saying, that whatever you are saying that's not that whatever you are saying that inherently exists, indirectly you are saying that is not dependent on cause and condition and does not depend on part and nothing. But the subtle consciousness dependent on consciousness. Because, that subtle consciousness, just subtle consciousness cannot have karma, cannot create karma, cannot have karma. There'll be no karma to go with subtle consciousness because in the first place, the consciousness is not dependent on anything. It's not dependent on the person. And how karma goes on that is impossible. How the karma goes on that.
I'm not saying that karma is the counterexample. I'm saying that
Consciousness.
that part of consciousness
Yeah, that part of
that
consciousness.
karma attaches to, that moves from life to life. You say
So-
there's multiple consciousness.
Yeah, that part of consciousness.
Identify which conscious talking about.
So now, okay, so that's very good. So don't give the mic, just hold. So that's good. That's how you debate. So then that's how you try to understand. So now I'll ask you questions. So is that consciousness has moment? Like a second or is this like how is Tujekijima? Tujekijima is like the when you lit a candle, the last moment, flickering, how you say, that only happened the last moment, then after that, it'll die, means over. So that subtle consciousness, that my questions, now you know, this very good that you brought it up. Now question is, does that subtle consciousness that goes life after life, does this consciousness has, I say, duration, how you say, moment like, huh?
Are you asking, does it end at some point?
And does it has like time span? Does it has time span? Exactly.
My understanding from you is that it has no beginning and it has no end.
Oh, that's on me. Oh, yeah, that's also true. No beginning, no end. So now my question is, does it has a time span?
If it has no beginning and no end, I would answer no.
And how long it will, how long it exists?
It's always existed and will always exist.
So that means it has time span. It means like time span, it has long, long time span.
It has an infinite time span, no beginning and no end.
But it depends on the time.
For this specific consciousness, time has no relevance because there is no beginning, there is no end.
Does it has cause?
Based on my understanding from you, no. Always.
Please, you are making it hard based on me. Uh, I think it has cause, like otherwise, like
If it has a cause, then it didn't.
okay, now now one more question. Wait. So when you are reborn, when you enter into mother's womb, right? When you take rebirth, this life, we are talking this life. What you call like what you call like conceptions? That body they develop later on is not first the consciousness, according to Buddhist cosmology, first the consciousness that enter into mother's womb. That's the first thing, not the eye or ear, hair. The consciousness goes there. That's what it's called conception. I'm going to say first moment of consciousness that enter into mother wombs, first moment of consciousness. Does it has pause? Does it has how you say moment before that?
Yes, I believe it does.
That moment could be bardo, could be intermediate state.
I don't understand Tibetan cosmology enough to answer that
But
question.
that consciousness has to come from somewhere. It's like probably somebody died. They went, somebody died, then go into Pardo, maximum 49 days. Then after that, take rebirth. That's how, according to Buddhist cosmology. So that moment of consciousness, first moment that enter into mother wombs, that first moment, that moment before their consciousness, more likely is going to be Pardo, intermediate state. Meaning between previous life, death, and this life, rebirth. It's between. So that consciousness, before this consciousness, that consciousness depended on part of body. So now the consciousness that enter into mother's womb, that now consciousness depended on the egg and sperm. So now here the Phillips, like when you say something does exist inherently, indirectly you are saying that is not dependent on part and cause and condition, it just happened. You are saying it just happened for no reason, it just happened. So I think, yeah, you're right. It's not beginning, it's not end, but it has to have cause. So like, if you ask me how I can prove, it's hard to prove. So that's why life before this and life after that, it's hard to prove. So what do you think? Now you say something that subtle consciousness, there goes life after life. Will that be the counter example? No. Yeah, think about Phillips, think more. So I'm afraid that that well, uh, debate courtyard. So,
Yes, sir, could we say that
Yeah.
consciousness is impermanent because even though it has no beginning and no end, would be like a river it has no beginning or end, but it's always changing depending on the influences that it encounters along the way. So consciousness is like that, where it may look the same as a subtle consciousness, but it's always changing because it's always being affected by the karma that it's moving through.
So they're like when this is a very specific consciousness. There's Phillips talking about subtle, like he's talking about a primordial consciousness based on Tantra teaching. That's what it's called, primordial consciousness. That's the one, that goes, everything else ceases. When we die, there's like 25 denominations dissolve, with the 5 of them, with the form aggregate, feeling aggregate, 5 aggregate dissolve. So then, gross, pretty much gross consciousness, remembering somebody's names, seeing, this all kind of dissolve. So then after that, there's like, I believe there's like 84 or 80 subtle consciousness. They start to dissolve with, white appearances, red appearances, then blackout. So then basically, then when you do gain consciousness. That consciousness, that's Philip's talking about, there's the same consciousness that enter into mother's womb the very first time. That consciousness, there's no eye consciousness, there's no ear consciousness. When you enter into the mother's womb, there's no ear consciousness, there's no eye consciousness, there's no nose consciousness. That's the primordial consciousness that enter into the mother's womb. So that will be the last. Everything else dissolve. That's how life begins. So begin with the primordial consciousness, then everything develop, slowly develop. So that everything goes back to where it develops. So what's left is this primordial consciousness. So that, I don't think it is that like you can really see obvious change there. You can really see obvious change like river. But this is like
Still move different.
that consciousness, it is like we only have access, when you faint, when we sneeze, that moment we probably experience, but it's very, very like seconds. I believe that's why the people, when you sneeze, they say, bless you. Maybe a long time ago, they worried they are going to die. Kind of like separate, We experience when we faint, we are not aware. We experience the subtle consciousness when we sneeze. But of course, through meditation, you can probably experience that longer period of time through meditations. But that is like hard meditations, like need to open all the chakras, then not that easy. But beginning, then time of death, we do experience, but most people, we are not aware. What's called like clear light, actually it's a death. So then there's, because we are not accessing this subtle consciousness, therefore our life experience doesn't really say much about that consciousness. But of course, eye and ear and like all the other consciousness, feeling, this all change. There's like a lot of change.
So
Yeah.
it's still moving through though.
Yeah, it's moving, but moving without like experiencing on
But it moves.
like river. It moves like river.
Or the less subtle consciousness. It affects the movement of the subtle consciousness ultimately.
No, which one?
Like that primordial
Oh,
consciousness
oh.
would go from from a man to the next life
Right,
to a
right.
woman, but it would move along because of the more obvious karma and consciousness.
I'm not like 100% sure, so I'm sorry, I don't have answer. So could be like that's hard to. What do you think? What do you think? I think that consciousness, primordial consciousness, that's the very subtle one, the very, very subtle one. As I said, everything like you see, hear, shape, color, you hear, you smell, you taste, you touch, all of that is considered as a gross consciousness. These are all will cease with the five aggregates. So then after that, memory, maybe recollections, or maybe there's like, I think like there's 80 of them. Then they dissolve with number, white appearances first, red appearances, then, blackout. So then after that, when you gain consciousness, then after the blackout, now all the consciousness grows subtle, cease. There no memories, is finished. Only thing that's left is what is into mother's womb first moment. That one's left is called primordial consciousness. So do you think that will, when you're born, grow up, so they grow up, so they grow up, you think there'll be some like impact on that, our lifestyle?
Seemed logical to me that the journey of my most primordial consciousness
Yeah, journey home, that makes sense.
is changes
Uh,
because of the experiences and the karmas that it experiences in a less subtle way. Like the journey of a primordial.
yeah, from journey from, let's say, from like 1 year to 80 years, that journey, you think like the primordial consciousness change? Just like, so, no. Yeah, that's true. But like, I think, yeah.
So does the primordial consciousness, is it also based on a previous moment?
Exactly. So that's how you prove life before this,
Okay,
you know.
so, and then that moment's based on a previous moment.
Exactly.
So-
That's how that, if you look at the Buddhist like epistemology, the textbook in there, so that's how they prove life before this. Because that first moment of consciousness, they enter into mother's womb, where it comes from. You can't say it has no cause. It's like consciousness, the cause of the consciousness has to be consciousness. Matter cannot produce consciousness. This against the law of causality. Like or form, shape doesn't produce consciousness. Consciousness does not produce shape and form. The form produces form. Sound doesn't produce form. That's against like natural law of causality. Even the scientists, there's not all sounds create like a shape and color. Not really. So like cause, cause. So that's how the proof of life before this question, the first moment of consciousness that enter into mother wombs, where did it come from? Then it goes. Other kind, that kind of leads to pardo, basically pardo. What else? There's nothing else. The pardo or some kind of spirit realm. Spirit. If you cannot take a rebirth, so then you're basically stuck with no form, no physical form. Then that's called spirit. Could be hungry ghosts, could be all kinds of things that beings that we cannot see them, but they are very much exist. You can see. Yeah, think about, so in my opinions, there is like, if you say sound does not exist inherently because it's interdependent. In my understanding, there is no counter example. There is no counter example. But Philip says primordial consciousness. Just think about that. We are not going to make the decision. Just think about that, and like, then the debate courtyard, debate courtyard will decide. So then we have like bigger debate. So you just go back home, think about that. So then come back, then we have more debate. Then see. In my understanding, there is no counter example. So therefore, for Julie, that's why we use sound is impermanent because it's changed moment by moment because we want to explain counter example. In that logic, there's counter example, space. Make sense?
The piece I'm missing is there's no counterexample for which one, space or sprout. Sound or sprout.
No, it's not about sound or sprawl. They like need to think about whole logic,
Right. But in this example,
It doesn't matter which subject, like sprout sound, which subject you use, doesn't matter. But needs to be, if you use sound, does not exist inherently because it's independent. So that logic, that reasoning has no counterexample.
okay. Sound.
If you are saying oh, sound is impermanent because it's changed moment by moment, it has counterexample. Make sense? Yeah, Catherine explain.
so- Scenario, which I think is really a syllogism, if I'm using the right word, I don't know if I am. The first scenario is sprout does not exist because it is interdependent. In this scenario, we can't come up with a counterexample. In the second one, sound is impermanent because it's always changing moment by moment. Here we do have a counterexample, just space. Right, sound goes, and I mean, I don't know, I should have, it's hard to write this stuff.
Maybe time to go like,
Yeah, so I tried
Oh,
to keep,
You're changing number 3.
right, so I tried to keep the ones in the circle go together.
Okay.
And
That
then,
makes sense.
yeah, sprout does not exist inherently because it is interdependent, and base is an example of that. And then sound outside the circle is impermanent, always changing cloud. And then counterexample space. Like we can't think of a counterexample that goes inside the circle, which would correspond to the sprout scenario. And then also, I was going to say, with reason, so we had or Geshe came up with the sprout vase, vase being an example for sprout, and then with the second scenario of something being impermanent because it's always changing, the vase example was harder to get because it's hard for us to see that a vase is always changing moment to moment. I mean, technically it is, but it's hard for us to see that. So that's why I came up with cloud for an example. Right. I mean, technically a vase is also, it does also work with that scenario, but it's hard for us to get the idea that this vase is actually changing moment by moment. I mean, from second to second, because it looks the same to us. Yeah.
Understood? Very clear. Yeah, if not understood, next time you use your malas, go like, like that. Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. We'll stop now. It's like 8 past 32, so we'll stop. Okay, thank you. Do we need to try one more time next Wednesday or we are good? Yeah, because there's 5 logic of emptiness I want to explain. There's 5 of them for your meditations. So that first this needs to be understood. Then 5 logic, then I'll explain. It's easy to explain. So far, I haven't translated that yet. So, and I will translate, then bring it here. So then see how it goes. Okay. Well, let me see.
In the gold prayer book, turn to the yellow tab, page 235, for the general dedication prayers. Gewadi nyor dudag lama sange druk yorne drawa chikyang malupa Dei sala gopar shog Jang tub sem jogrin poche ma ke panam je jurchik ke wanyam pa me pa yang gong de gundu pel war shog Jampel Pawo Ji Tarchen Padang Kun Tu Sang Po De Yang De Jin Te De Dak Kungi Jesu Dak Lok Chir Ge Wa Di Dak Tam Che Rap Tu Ngo Du Sum Shek Pe Jel Wa Tam Che Ki Ngo Wa Gang La Chok Tu Ngak Pa De Dak She Ge Wei Tsa Wa Di Kun Kyang Thang po chu chir rap tu ngo wa gi. Dagi ji ne sak pe ge wa di. Tendang dro wa kun la gong pendang. Che pa jet sun lo zang drak pa yi. Ten pe ning po ring du sel je shog. Now the blue tab, page 244, and the long life prayer for His Holiness. Gang ri ra wei kor wei xing kam dir. Pendang de wa ma lu jung wei ne. Chen rei sig wang ten sin jat so yi. Sha pei si te bar du ten jur chi. On the facing page, the prayer for Geshe's teacher, Sarah J. Kinser Rinpoche Lobsang Gelek. Jonu ie nagla wang jortu. Awa tare tsen barung sota. Lob sangil we de tong lek pel chok. Jaser jenjur lama sol wa dev. Inside the back cover, the prayer for the swift return of Chapje Lama Zopo Rinpoche. Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make requests. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great ways of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may this smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. Inside the front cover, the prayer for Geshe Gelek's long life. Gewe lam na dren pe de pun jog, leg she dam par ter we nyin mor je, chuki tsa wa mi tong she nyen chog, drag pa pong we la ma jap ten chig. And for Geshe Sangpong. Gewe chuki bak chag rab ten ching, pel den la me dam ngak ning la chang, zang po ja wen yin shen da je pe, shen yen chen po kut she rab ten chig. And now 7 Tara mantras for the benefit of all beings. Om tari tu re so ha. 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 Om tare tu re so ha. Om tare tu re so ha.
Okay. Good night. Good night. So, Elise, like when we sleep, we also experience subtle consciousness when we sleep, but unfortunately, not aware. Okay, just forget that. Okay. Thank you. Good night. Oh, good night.
Thanks, everyone online. Have a good week.
Thank you.